Hello, everyone, and welcome to the introductory podcast for the PatsPro podcast. I'm your host, PatsPro. Just to give you a little intro here, this is going to be a Patriots-centric podcast, but we will delve into NFL stories, and we're not going to be afraid to cover other leagues, especially with the Celtics losing Game 1 against the freaking New York Knicks, but we'll get to that. We'll save that to the end of the show here. Purpose of today's show is just to go over the draft, go over our generalized thoughts, hit on a couple of picks, and get the heck out of here. So just to give you some background, since this is the first show, I am PatsPro. I'm what I've titled myself as a Citizen Insider. So what that means is I am a fucking dipshit with one source, pardon my French, one source and one source only. That source has been quite good to me and hasn't steered me wrong yet. So I'm going to keep going ahead and trusting them and reporting what I have to the good people of X/Twitter. Now, a couple of things here. Going to ask that you give me a follow on X/Twitter. That is at PatsPro_21 on Twitter/X. And also, if you could rate, like, subscribe, whatever you need to do on whatever platform you're listening, that's going to help us out, help us grow the community, and be the algorithm. Now, for the main event here today, we're going to be talking about the draft, and I want to start it off with the thing I predicted all the way back in February. The Patriots drafted left tackle from LSU, Will Campbell. And quite frankly, it's not my favorite pick of the draft. We'll get to that later. But it's a tremendous pick. If you just look at Will Campbell from a pure play perspective, he's a true left tackle. He did it in the SEC, only allowed 2 tackles all of last season. I think he only allowed 4 tackles in his entire career, going back to be a true freshman starter. I'm probably wrong on that, and I don't feel like looking up the stats, but I feel like I've heard that, and I'm going to pass it off as true. But if you just look at the tape tells the story. He never had help. It was a pro-style offense, very drop-back heavy. He was in pass protection a lot alone, didn't have, again, any help whatsoever. And one thing I always like to highlight is go back and watch his tape against Jared Verse. He put that boy into the ground. Um, and people will say, "Oh, PatsPro, what about his 32-inch arms?" Just shut up. They're not 32 inches. At most, they're 32 and 7/8. They're 33-inch arms. I believe the pro day measurement that he had at LSU by an NFL scout. It wasn't some sort of LSU official who's trying to pump the numbers. And going back to Alex Barth's opinion on the combine got it wrong. They measured incorrectly, and I'll hear nothing else of the sort. So I think his arm length isn't a problem. I think that we shouldn't even be talking about it. Just watch the film. Now, the film's far from perfect, but what prospect is perfect, especially in this draft where good prospects are hard to find? And I think Will Campbell, given the talent in this draft, it is a talent devoid draft. I'm not going to lie to you. But there are gems, and I think the Patriots hit a lot of them. But getting back to Will Campbell, look at the tape. That's number one. Number two, he's a friggin' character guy. Mike Vrabel loves this guy. He gets in there. He's a hard worker. There was actually a story by Evan Lazar of Patriots.com going into what Will Campbell was like. He was in the gym first, always working out. He's even spending his NIL money, or at least a portion of it, on his body, getting his body right, physical therapy, nutrition. It's what pros do. I mean, you look at a guy like, I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady at all, but Tom Brady is the most notable example of this. Worked on his body, spent a ton of time on his body, on his nutrition, on his health. I mean, you look at any pro athlete, look at LeBron James, you look at any good pro athlete, they're focusing on their nutrition and their body. And I think the modern athlete of today is more in tune with that than ever. And the fact that Will Campbell in college wasn't doing it for clicks, wasn't doing it for likes, Shedeur Sanders, but was just doing it because he loves the game. And I think that's very important. So, I mean, Christ's sake, the guy's a car ride from, Baton Rouge, or not Baton Rouge, New Orleans. He could have been partying all that time. No, he's in the gym getting after it like a pro athlete. So he's a character guy. He's a Vrabel type of guy, and he also knocked Vrabel on his ass, which I guarantee Vrabel was like, "Fuck, I gotta have this guy," and so they did. Drafted him at 4 overall, and that's a good thing. I don't want to hear anyone, "Oh, but there was more value with Ashton Genty or Mason." Shut up. There wasn't. They've had a gaping hole at left tackle for the past 7 years. 7 years. They haven't been able to find it. They've been fucking around them too much. To quote myself on Savage Boston's podcast, don't fuck around, just get it done. And that's what they did. They drafted Will Campbell to protect the franchise quarterback's blindside. Say what you want, and I'm going to go off on a tangent here because I think we need to get into it. Drake May is a franchise quarterback. I don't care what you say. You look at what he had to deal with in 2024, and you notice something. And that something is he had the worst interception luck that I, quite frankly, have ever seen. His first interception was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. It was a tip ball drill. The ball goes up 90 degrees in the air after he throws it, and it just happens to just magnet into the defender's arms as he's going down to the ground and catches it. I've never seen anything like it. You then have throws over the middle, Kayshawn Booty, where he just spins around and just hands gently the ball to the DB to pick off, or the same thing with Hunter Henry, just spins around and just hands the ball off to the defending player. It's just I've never seen anything like it. I think under the tutelage of Josh McDaniels in that system, I don't think he's going to have that problem again. I think he's going to make good decisions. Now, yeah, there was some bonehead stuff. Rookies are going to have bonehead plays. I don't think there's any cause for concern here. Now, that's my tangent on Drake May. Getting back to Will Campbell, now you're going to protect that guy's blindside. You're going to give him time in the pocket, time to use that brain. It was the smart choice. And making the smart choice, while not flashy, not sexy, it's the smart choice. It's the only choice. You do what's best for the team. Now, I'm going to go immediately to day 2. I know there were some rumors, and I even reported they were trying to get up for a guy like Matthew Golden, which is true, by the way, but Atlanta kind of fucking ruined it for everybody, unfortunately. They were talking to Green Bay. Green Bay didn't want to come off the pick, and they kept calling and trying, but Atlanta, in their wisdom, I don't know what's wrong with those people. I'm so glad Bill Belichick didn't waste his time down there. I mean, he's wasting his time in Chapel Hill with a 24-year-old girlfriend who seems to be working him like the CIA works its assets, but that's a different story for another day. Back on track to day 2, probably my favorite day of the draft. With their second round pick, unfortunately, Jaden Higgins wasn't there. I really, really liked him as a prototypical X receiver, but he got picked. And I was thinking, you know what? Ezaraku is probably the best bet. We need an edge rusher. And then all of a sudden they pop off and just get Travion Henderson, the most explosive running back in the draft. And initially my reaction was, oh, here we go. These fucking idiots, they're doing it again. They're trying to get cute. But after I thought about it, there's 2 things that really stick out to me. The first one is explosiveness. He's the most explosive running back in this class, probably one of the most explosive players in this class. He has the ability to make a house call for 80 yards. You give him an open running lane, he's going to pop through it and he's going to beat defenders. He's 4.4 speed. He's a home run hitter. I'm not sure that the Patriots have had that kind of speed and athletic ability. Yeah, you can say Tyquan Thornton was a burner, but he wasn't exactly an athlete. As far as I'm describing, I'm not sure they've had that kind of explosive potential since Josh Gordon, and probably before that actually. But one of his best things is pass blocking. Common theme here: doing what's best to protect your franchise quarterback. What's that? You get a left tackle who can pass block the blindside. You get a running back who can roam the pocket like the James Whites of old, and protect the quarterback pass block. Put a rushing defender on their ass. Give your quarterback time to scan the field and make a smart play. And that's a common theme here. We're doing what's best to protect our franchise quarterback. And I think Travion Henderson is an excellent pick to do that. Now, that's not to say he's going to necessarily immediately start over a guy like Ramondre Stevenson, but I think they're going to be moving back to a more traditional Josh McDaniels style of your bowling ball power back and your more elusive third down running back. I think that is what's going to be best for Drake May, best for the team, best for Ramondre Stevenson, who, when given the full quote unquote uh, bell cow, bell cow role, uh, hasn't exactly been the best at doing what needs to be done, especially with the fumble issues. I just don't think you can really trust his production. So Travion Henderson, there's going to be a grading system. I forgot to do it, of course, because scatterbrain. But Will Campbell, I'm going to give an A plus. You addressed a position of need with a top pick, and that position of need was also. One of those positions that is very hard to find, and I think you found a guy. So A plus there. Travion Henderson, I'm going to give a B plus. I'm going to go B plus. I like the pick. You're providing explosiveness, but you're also providing protection on obvious passing downs for your quarterback. Now, beginning of round 3. This is my favorite pick of the draft. Again, credit to Alex Barth of 98.5 The Sports Hub. Put me on to him back in January, and that's Kyle Williams, wide receiver of Washington State. Former wide receiver for Cam Ward when he was there. But he had a breakout year, late breakout. It's the only thing that kind of worries me. He's a late breakout player for 2024. But it's another common theme, which is explosiveness. This guy is an excellent separator at the beginning and top of the routes, especially at the beginning of the play. This guy can get open like you wouldn't believe. I remember watching his clips when they were down. I think it was the Senior Bowl. It might have been the East West Shrine. No, the Senior Bowl. Um, and it's just dude was just torching defenders, just on skates, putting them on their ass. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And after watching his film, he reminds me of an unpolished Stephon Diggs, which it's kind of makes sense that they have Stephon Diggs on the team, but he understands how to get open, especially in man coverage, which has been a problem for this team for God forever since Brady left, since Edelman left. And it's another, again, common theme, which is explosiveness. Also, another common theme, all three of these guys so far that I've talked about have been excellent, high character guys, loved by their team. Can't say enough good things about them, and I think that really is something that Vrabel has been focusing on, which is high character, does what's within the best interest of the team, and I think that's how you really build a culture with high character guys who can play. Obviously, you're going to have to take risks, but so far with these first 3 picks, I think they're really cooking with gas. So because I love Kyle Williams, I'm going to give you my biased pick of A plus. It's an A plus. It's a biased pick. I don't care what your opinion is. Now moving on to the second pick in round 3, center Jared Wilson from Georgia. He's a rare athlete for the position. He's only a 1-year starter, but I don't really see that as a bad thing because Georgia produces what, 9, 12 guys a year that go into the draft. They got dogs everywhere. That was no pun intended. But yeah, they got dogs everywhere. So the fact that he was only a 1-year starter, I don't think takes away from him whatsoever. But he also has good positional versatility for me. Can play left guard in a spot. Maybe he competes for the left guard spot if the center who they signed, whose name is escaping me because I'm wholeheartedly unprepared for this podcast. But I think he's a good pick. Again, great athlete, tested really well, played pretty well at Georgia. I think it's a good pickup for the long term at center. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that, and I keep forgetting to do this, but about a B plus. I'm feeling really positive right now about this draft, and it's kind of me being a cynical New Englander. I want to be like, nah, fuck that. He's fucking terrible. They're all fucking stupid. I really want to let my inner Felger out, but I can't do it. I really love what they're doing. They're finding really good value, really high character guys with some really excellent upside. And I think the upside gets even better when we get to day 3. Before we get to day 3, though, just want to take a second to go over that big ask again. If you could like, subscribe, share the podcast, really get it out there. I'm not looking to, make anything out of this, but I want to see if we can grow the community because I think the more voices you have on a subject, the better. And I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. So, having said that, I'm just going to kind of breeze through day three after the first few picks because who gives a fuck about day three prospects? I do, but some of us don't. So the first pick in round four here, Craig Woodson, safety out of Cal. I like him. Daniel Jeremiah on the Move the Sticks podcast, he was one of the guys he just couldn't figure out. He said because he's got enough size, he's got enough speed, can take the ball away. He's a great leader. All of his teammates love him. Again, he's a good character guy. He's a versatile safety who could play that center fielder role, and I think he actually has some upside at nickel as well in the big nickel packages that I know Vrabel likes to play. But he's a good communicator on and off the team. Really, really smart guy. I think he's got a lot of upside there, and I'm gonna go ahead and give that pick probably like a B minus because I think there was a little bit more value at other places at that round four pick, but we needed a safety. Uh, the two round five picks, I think, honestly, is where they kind of were in their bag, and with Joshua Farmer and Braden Swinson. Farmer's big, strong, and fast. Same thing with Swinson. Swinson's got long arms, really powerful. Both of these guys were consensus top 100 picks. I'm not sure how or why they fell, but God, am I glad they did, especially Swinson, truthfully. I mean, Farmer, yeah, he's an excellent addition, especially with Barmore's health being in question. And if you're listening, Christian, we all hope you get better and are back to your full self soon. But with Barmore's health in question and signing Williams, I think he's an excellent depth piece at defensive tackle, and I think he's really going to get some playing time. But Braden Swinson, I think, is your true sleeper alert. Fell for reasons that we can't comprehend. Maybe teams knew something that never really came out in the media, but I just think he's got tremendous upside. As I mentioned before, he's got long arms, plays with power, can really get after the quarterback. No, he may have character concerns. Arguing with coaches, I think, was the thing that was reported, but I just think with Vrabel's going to be able to talk to a guy like that. He's been in that guy's shoes. A little bit of an attitude, motherfucking guys. Who cares? I think he's going to be able to kind of, get with Vrabel's program. Vrabel's going to be kind of able to get in his head. And I think that the defensive coordinator, who, again, I should know this, can't think, guy from Detroit, can't think of his name, but I think he's going to be able to get something out of him. Going to kind of, again, breeze through these last couple of picks here. Andres Borregales, kicker out of Miami. You needed a kicker, so why not just get the best one in the draft? Kicker was going to start going anyways, as evidenced by the Ravens picking a kicker not too long after you. Side note, Justin Tucker was just released. Kudos to the Ravens. I think personally, you can't even be having that question in the building. You just need to get the guy out of there. Sucks. He was a really good player, but we can't tolerate that kind of shit. But yeah, the one thing about Borregales for me is he's played in warm weather climates all of his career, and he actually, to his credit, he actually kind of dove into this question and embraced it. Don't have the exact quote, but he said he was up for the challenge and understood that was a narrative, and he was hoping to challenge that narrative. Which listen, he met the question head on, didn't try to talk with any bravado. He just very humble about it, and I can appreciate that. Again, another culture guy. In terms of the round 7 picks, Marcus Bryant, the only two notable things I can really say is he was Armand Membu's counterpart at left tackle, which I find funny that, people are like, well, Membu could play left tackle, then why wasn't he starting over this guy who went in the 6th round at left tackle? You don't think a college offensive coordinator is going to say, let's try the rare athlete at left tackle. So to all the Armand Membu truthers, just stop it. You look silly. But the one thing about Marcus Bryant is he's got long arms and notoriously small hands. Honestly, it's a troll job by the Patriots. They draft the consensus All-American left tackle with the quote-unquote short arms, and then followed up in the 7th round with the guy with the abnormally long arms with the abnormally small hands. I'm gonna skip Julian Ashby because I have some thoughts there, but Kobe Minor, DB depth, nothing of note for me. But Julian Ashby, man, that this is really the only pick that pissed me off because why are we letting go of Joe Cardona? Well, for that matter, why are we letting go with all of the leadership from the last few years? I mean, the only thing I can rationalize about it is Vrabel wants his guys to instill their own culture and vote on their leaders to really get the buy-in. No Bill Belichick guys, no, well, how it used to be run here. I get all that. But at the same time, it was Joe Cardona. I mean, the guy wasn't taking up much of a roster spot from a cap perspective, and he was just damn good at his job. But realistically, the only thing I can think of is obviously he's a replacement, and he's also probably more athletic, and maybe Jeremy Springer's looking for more of an athlete to do things down the field at that position, as evidenced last year. That's really the only thing I can think of. Before we kind of get to the end of this podcast, though, I want to talk about two UDFAs who I really like. Eftim Chisholm from Eastern Washington. Whoever is the side note, whoever is the uh, Northwest area scout was in their fucking bag this year because there's too many, Washington Northwest guys on this team, Western guys on this team to call it a coincidence. This dude must have been in his bag. But Eftim Chisholm, really like him. I call him a short area quickness merchant. He's not exactly long speed fast, but his short area quickness and ability to separate immediately really pops out on film. He kind of projects as the high volume slot. I hate to say this, but the Julian Edelman, Wes Welker role in McDaniel's system, and I think he has a real shot to make the team. Same thing with Lan Larison, UC Davis, all-time leader in career all-purpose yards, 1,400 yards on the ground, 17 touchdowns, a bunch of catches, 800 something yards, and 6 more touchdowns in the air. 5'10", 209-pound all-purpose guy. I mean, that just screams Patriots running back, doesn't it? That just screams Rex Burkhead to me. And quite frankly, I think that he'll be a good mix to kind of provide depth behind Ramondre and Travion, as well as Antonio Gibson. But yeah, that's my recap of the draft. Pretty plain and simple. I don't know, what other additions are going to be made to this team. I don't really foresee anything, and my guy is not telling me that they're really looking to make any crazy splashes. Obviously, if a deal comes up, they may look at it. They still have a ton of cap space, but they've spent a good, I think it's like $300 million in real cash. So they're probably going to be looking to limit the cash spending for the rest of the year. But yeah, that's really all I had for you guys today. Kind of want to go over what I'm thinking about scheduling for this podcast here for the next few months, over the off season until we get to camp. I'm thinking about once a week just to kind of recap, um, the news of the week, thoughts, and maybe get some guests on here. I'm not sure who the fuck is going to want to come talk to me, but we'll take a look at it. Maybe my good friend Savage will do me a favor and come by. We'll do a little podcast there, talk about the Patriots. And once we get to the season, I'm thinking 2 to 3 times a week, just recap, for camp, recap what happened at camp. Maybe we'll do a daily thing there for a little bit. But once we get to the season, game preview podcast and a game wrap up podcast, just talking about the team. We're not looking to do anything, too serious. Just you and me, the listener and me, just talking about shit. And feel free to shoot me some suggestions on the old X machine. At PatsPro underscore 21. You can find me there. Give me a follow, shoot me a DM, send me a tweet. I'll respond to you. Always happy to interact with my guys. just want to again say thank you for your support thus far. Really appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully we'll be able to continue this in the future. But for now, on behalf of myself, PatsPro, I'd like to again thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time, and go Pats.